pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk will call the roll.
Zachary Urban,
Present.
Janice Hoppy,
Present.
Christy Davis,
Here.
Tim Fitzgerald,
Here.
George Pond,
Present.
Larry Matthews,
Here.
Genevieve Wooden.
Present.
And Madam Mayor, Councilmember Duran has excused herself for this evening.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the council minutes of June 26, study notes of July 17, and special study notes of July 24? If there are none, they do stand as presented. Tonight is the second opportunity for public input on the 2018 budget. Let me read that to you. The process for the development of the 2018 budget is underway. An important phase of this process is offering the public opportunities to provide input to City Council prior to the presentation of the 2018 proposed budget. This is the second of two public input meetings. The 2018 budget is scheduled to be presented to the Mayor and City Council on Monday, October 2nd, 2017. Following review and direction from City Council, the City will hold a public hearing and consider adoption of the proposed 2018 budget on Monday, October 9. Staff includes a summary of all feedback received from these public meetings in the presentation of the proposed budget to City Council. Is there anyone here today or tonight that would like to speak on the 2018 budget?
Do we do?
No?
We do public comment before that?
I'm sorry.
Or we do public comment before that?
I'm on this part. We'll do citizens' right to speak now. Okay, we're going to move on now to the citizens' right to speak, which will be, here we go. Moving on, we're going to start with Evan Clark. This is on matters not on the agenda tonight.
Hello, I'm Evan Clark. I live on 4665 Swadley Street, and today I'd like to talk about 4-H and our fair. First of all, I'd like to thank Zachary Urban for coming and attending the fair and showing in the celebrity livestock show and showing very well with his lamb, and also helping support our kids on the 4-H auction. He added multiple add-ons to multiple different kids, and I'd just like to thank that. We are a very hardworking fair and very hardworking kids. We spend 15-hour days at our fair for 5 days, and sadly have to let go of our animals on Sunday, which is the auction day. None of this really wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for people like Zach and everyone else that helps us buy our animals and supports our animals. Really, we put our heart and souls into these animals, and just to see them go to auction and someone buying them and appreciating them really does help us. So I would really like to thank Zach again, and thank you for coming out. And
Thank you.
Thank you, Evan.
see you guys at the next fair. Thank you.
And now, Ian Clark,
Ian.
please give your address. I don't know if you guys.
Hi, my name is Ian Clark, and my address is 4665 Swadley Street. The past week, I have spent my blood, sweat, and tears at the Jeffco Fair and Festival. With all my hard work, I earned myself Best of Breed Rabbit, Senior Goat Showmanship, and the toughest of them all, Beef Showmanship. Come yesterday, it was obviously the hardest day of the fair, having to say goodbye to the animals you have been working with for the past 5 months, some 9 months. I would like to give a huge shout out to Councilmember Zachary Urban for participating in our celebrity livestock show. Zach showed a lamb this year and did great in his first year showing, and hopefully not his last time. Councilmember Zachary Urban also attended our livestock auction, help making the kids' years better by purchasing animals and also putting add-ons on several different projects. Thank you once again, Zach, for coming down and supporting our kids and 4-H.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. John Clark? Ian, thank you.
I named you Ian 17 years ago, but that's okay. Hi, my name is John Clark. I live at same address, 4665 Swadley. I'm going to touch on the fair and 4-H. But the first thing I'd like to do is tell you that I did attend that 5-day fair, and it's true. They're 15, 16-hour days, and the parents are there. And when he talks about blood, sweat, and tears, he's absolutely right. I was able to break free on Saturday morning. Luckily, they were doing round robin, and I broke free, and I came down and sat in front of the Wheat Ridge Co-op and watched the parade. And I just wanted to say that I think Leah Dozman did a great job as chair of the parade committee. It was fantastic. I enjoyed every minute of it. I was happy I could be there. Some people stopped in, and I think everybody that was there was having a great time. After that, I was able to sneak down to the festival for a few minutes, and my mother would roll over in her grave if she knew that I didn't go in there and buy a couple cookies from the seniors. So I had to go buy my cookies and buy my glass of lemonade from Pennington and do the standard wares. Put a couple bids in on some benches. I'd like to thank Councilmember Wooden for putting that program together. It's a very cool program, and she runs it very well. And I put some bids in that I really thought I was going to get Everett's bench at that bid, but I got blown away. So congrats to Everett, and a shout out to Heine's Market for putting that. I think it was about $400. I did win the Wheat Ridge High School bench, and I'm very proud of that, and I'll display that proudly. So the festival and the parade, I think, is a great success, and I think Joe DeMott puts on a great show. Hard work. You talk about blood, sweat, and tears, and Leah with the parade. It's just astronomical. But I did have to get back. Had to get back to the fair and the kids and all the showing. And these guys rocked it out of the park. I couldn't be prouder of my boys. And I'd like to just reiterate to Zach that we appreciate you coming down. He had to show against people like the Edgewater mayor, Jeffco sheriff, the new superintendent of Jeffco Schools was there. And when they start reading their bios, you can see some of them are old farm boys from Iowa and stuff, and you're thinking these guys are ringers. So for Zach to get a 4th place, I think he actually did very well. Again, I'd like to reiterate to Zach, I hope you come back. Hope you had a good enough time, and I really do appreciate you coming in and sitting down at the auction. And I'm going to be at your house for Thanksgiving, brother, because that was one heck of a turkey you bought. I can't wait for that one. And I wouldn't mind some of them lamb chops either. So it was a great affair. Next year, I hope everybody can come down and at least check it out. If you're afraid of sheep, if you're afraid of goats, you don't have to show them. Just come in and support these kids, because these kids do outstanding work. And a word to the kids in Wheat Ridge. I mean, I think I got the only 2 in Wheat Ridge that are 4-Hers, and I'd really like to see some more Wheat Ridge kids get involved in the agricultural part. There are other stuff. There's other things in 4-H. It's not all about showing animals. You can do other things. So reach out to me, and I will put you in touch with the right people. So I got a yellow light. Parents, if you want to see your kids off the couch and in the barn, contact me. We'll get you in 4-H, and get good things happening in Wheat Ridge. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. I believe that's it on public right to speak. Any changes to tonight's agenda? Then let's go and proceed forward, starting with the consent agenda. Mr. Matthews.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight on the consent agenda, we have 3 items. Item 1A is resolution number 28-2017, approving action by Jefferson County Open Space to subordinate the reverter clause on the Recreation Center property at 4005 Kipling to permit a drainage easement. Item number 1B, a motion to approve the award of RFP-17-21 Insurance Broker Services to Insurance Management Associates, Inc., of Colorado on a commission-based agreement and to approve a one-year term with the option to renew for 4 additional one-year periods. And item number 1C, Resolution 27-2017, amending the fiscal year 2017 general fund budget to reflect the approval of a supplemental budget appropriation in the amount of $841,330 for on-call building permit inspections, plan review, and other support services and related costs.
Thank you. A motion is in order.
Second. Oh, sorry. Make the motion and then.
Good, but let's have a motion.
I move that we approve all 3 consent agenda items.
I would like to see 1C voted on separately.
Okay, that's fine. So you're asking to remove 1C from the consent agenda. Okay, we can do that. Let's go ahead then and just change that motion. I believe we can do it that way, and have you just move to do item 1B and A and B.
I move that we accept items, that we vote on and accept items 1A and 1B of the consent agenda.
Second.
Seconded on that? Thank you. Please cast your votes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, let's move on to item number 272017, item C. Mr. Urban, did you want to discuss that?
Sure. I just had a couple of questions.
If I may, should I make a motion first and then we discuss? I move that we accept item 1C on the consent agenda.
Second.
Now we'll have discussion on the third item.
Sure. As it relates to the section 2 of the resolution, a transfer of the $765,000 for the on-call building permit inspections, how much of that is specifically for the building permit inspections as opposed to the plan reviews and other support services?
The vast amount of that is for roofing specifically, so the permit technicians and inspectors we have doing that work. I think originally we'd only budgeted about $35,000 for plan review and electrical inspections, so almost all roofing related.
Okay. So under the 2009 storm, we had a supplemental appropriation of $120,000 to do 4,500 inspections, which broke out to about $30 per inspection. So do we have an estimate of how much each inspection is going to be under this on-call contract, or what that number looks like in any sort of ballpark figure, or do we have an idea of what we're looking at as far as the cost per inspection?
It's a good question. So we actually engaged Charles Abbott Associates just a couple weeks before the storm. So we've been operating under an interim agreement where we're paying hourly, which is the rate that you've seen reflected on those biweekly updates. So we met with them last week to try to get them under the permanent contract, and we've discussed the idea of doing either continuing an hourly rate or doing an inspection rate, but we don't have that contract executed yet. So for right now, we're still estimating based on the hourly rates we've been using so far.
Okay, so, but the, under just the hourly rate and the total number that we've, inspections that we've done so far since the storm, the 5,374, that still comes out to about $30 per inspection. And so if you take the number of 765,000, you're looking at 25,000 inspections, or 25,500 inspections as an estimate of the number of inspections that are planned. Do you have an estimate of how many inspections we're looking at doing under this plan?
We haven't been looking at it that way. We've been looking at it based on the number of permits. As you all know, we've seen most of the single-family homes come through now. We haven't seen the volume that we'd expect for multifamily and commercial. And it's always hard to know how many inspections it'll be per project just because the pass-fail rate, particularly of mid-roofs. So you've done the math per inspection. We haven't done that math yet.
Okay, so I guess my concern is that looking back at the 2009 storm, seeing that we made it a special appropriation of $120,000 for 4,500 inspections, and now we're looking at a $765,000 appropriation without a rough estimate of how many inspections that's going to call for, while the cost per inspection is still about the same, and that's breaking out to about 25,000 inspections. I'm a bit concerned about allocating that amount of money. I'm more than willing to put as much money as we need to support the building department, but I'd like to at least understand the reasoning behind the allocation of that amount of money to this particular contract or this particular allocation as it relates, because it's such a big difference between what was allocated previously under the 2009 storm and what was done today.
The only other difference I can offer is I'm not sure what the staffing levels were in 2009, but as of Friday, we won't have any on-staff inspectors. We've been operating with one full-time inspector. We've had a vacancy since pre-storm.
Sure.
So we're certainly relying more heavily on our contract inspectors than I think we were in 2009.
So in the 2009 storm, we had about 9,000 inspections to do. Half of that was covered by staff, and 4,500 of that was covered by the contract inspections. And so the supplemental appropriation of 120,000 covered that 4,500 inspections. So in the backup material, we said we were going to base this on 7,000 permits. So if there was 14,000 inspections on those 7,000 permits, that would be half as much as what is allocated here. So I'm just concerned that we're allocating more than double what is required for this amount. So that's my concern here, is that, and at the same time, do we expect to be able to meet this demand by year end, as far as being able to expend this $841,000 before the end of the fiscal year?
Those numbers are based on what we expect to, what work will be done by the end of this year. We are in the middle of the 2018 budget process also, and we are estimating how much more work is going to be done next year, so we'll include those numbers in the budget. To speak to the number, the 800,000 plus, it is a supplemental that goes specifically into this account for inspections and plan review. If it doesn't get used, it goes back into the general fund reserves. So it won't be used. We can, we did consider bringing just a smaller supplemental just for a couple months, but we were able to estimate what we thought we might need by the end of the year. So we can only have to do it once. But again, if we don't use all this money, we won't spend it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Other discussion? Mr. Matthews?
Yeah, we've made the statements that we only have 1 out of 2 inspectors. We had budgeted for 2 city inspectors. Are we allocating the unused funds there towards the contract? And has that been accounted for?
Yes, there's. We started out this year before the supplemental request, transferring funds between the salary accounts of those employees that we normally budgeted for, and we moved it into the contract services account. But we're done robbing Peter to pay Paul at this point, and need more funds from the reserves.
I think one thing to consider when we're going over this is that there is a labor shortage right now in this area, and dozens of companies are begging for people. So the fact that we don't have our current staffing is indicative of what's going on, and the fact that we're having to use contract labor, we are paying a premium, as would any other city that would have to use these services in an emergency, that you're paying a premium. It's like hiring a plumber on a Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to pay more to have somebody come in last minute. And so I think part of this cost has to be considered, that there's a labor shortage going on right now. These people are specialized and they're contract labor, and you do pay more because we're not paying all the other taxes and all the other things that you do for regular full-time employees. So while the number sounds high, it is contract labor, it's emergency personnel, and these people are coming in from out of state. So the cost is high, but we need them, and although the cost is high, I do feel like it's something that we have to consider, and that, as Zach pointed out, is this going to be enough for the rest of the year? And it may not. I mean, we don't know. So I think it's something to consider when we're discussing this amount of money, that it is at a premium, and that's what we're having to do.
Any other discussion? Okay, please, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Let's move on to item number 2. Get to that page. Mr. Pond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item number 2, Council Bill 15-2017, an ordinance granting a permanent drainage easement to Equinox Properties LLC for the purpose of constructing a stormwater structure on city-owned property. At issue, Equinox Properties LLC is expanding and conducting improvements to the Circle K located at 3805 Kipling Street. As part of these improvements, a new stormwater drainage structure is required. The structure is located in Lena Gulch, a city-owned property just south of the Recreation Center at 4005 Kipling Street.
Thank you. This fortunately does not need a public hearing. Do we have staff present? It is required, even though it says it doesn't. It's just not marked. I was going to ask you that earlier.
Yes, it's sorry about that, Mayor. It is a public hearing.
I'm going to go ahead and open that right now.
No one signed up, but you'll need to take the staff report.
No one has signed up, that's correct. We've read it. I don't have to, well, are we going to have a staff report?
I don't really have anything to add, other than this is, of course, related to the reverter clause resolution that was passed under the consent agenda, allowing this use on land that was purchased with open space funds intended for park and recreation usage. So this permanent easement was part of the approval for the redevelopment of the Circle K. So this grants them that permanent easement at this point.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Matthews?
This is actually probably more a question for Mr. Dahl. Would it be appropriate to limit this easement to somehow the current user or whatever? What I'm thinking about ahead is Circle K closes down, and then somebody else wants to build some different configuration there that this easement doesn't fit. Do we have to go through a lot of things to vacate or take back the easement and then do another easement somehow, or is there anything we should be looking at for the future that way?
That's a good question. I think it's a fair question. I'm assuming that this easement is sort of sized to address whatever the drainage needs of the redeveloped Circle K are. In the event you had a redevelopment that would result in more discharge than that particular easement would handle, then that new redeveloper is going to have to get a permit from the city. One of those conditions will be upsize the, I'm making this up as terms of a fact pattern, upsize the drainage facility, and they'd be back in here and back to Jefferson County Open Space to get a revised reverter and a revised easement. So I think for expansions, because the city is in the position of being the land use permitting authority, they would have to come to us. If future uses of that easement were the same or less, they wouldn't. So I think you're asking the right question. I think my answer is all about the capacity of the volumetric capacity of that easement. If it's more than what is permitted here, we'll have the regulatory ability to make them do something different.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Is a motion in order, or you gotta close the public?
Madam Mayor,
Wait,
I should probably assign an ordinance number.
yes, go ahead. Thank you.
This will be ordinance number 1627.
Thank you very much. I'm going to close the public hearing.
I
Motion
m-
is in order.
Thank you. I move to approve Council Bill number 15-2017, an ordinance approving a permanent drainage easement to Equinox Properties LLC for the purpose of constructing a stormwater structure on city-owned property on second reading, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Matthews. Further discussion? Please cast your votes. Oh, was it you? I thought my ear heard. Okay, cast your votes. Did you do it?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I cut some of you off. If the rest of you would vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, item number 3, these are first reading. Mr. Urban, please read.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council Bill number 16-2017, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property located at 6025 West 40th Avenue from Commercial 1 to Residential CR1C, case number WZ-17-05, Shadow Homes. Issue, the applicant is requesting approval of a zone change from Commercial 1 to a Residential 1. The property located at 6025 West 40th Avenue. The proposed rezoning includes 2 parcels with a total size of approximately 1/3 of an acre. The purpose of the zone change is to bring the property and its historic use as a residence into compliance with the zoning regulation. The zone change will also allow for the future construction of an additional home pending approval of this zone change and an administrative subdivision review.
Thank you. This is first reading, so I would like to go forward with a motion.
I move to approve Council Bill number 16-2017, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property located at 6025 West 40th Avenue from Commercial 1 to Residential 1 on first reading, order it published, public hearing set for Monday, September 11th, 2017 at 7 p.m. in City Council chambers, and that take effect 15 days after final publication.
Thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hoppe.
Mayor,
Mr.
discussion?
We
Quick.
don't usually have discussion on first reading.
I have just a question, if I may.
Fine.
I'm just, Mr. Goff, you may be able to answer this question. I'm just, as we're talking about these, asking myself the question, what, since we never discuss things on first reading, what financial liabilities are the developers under if we should wait until second reading for discussion and then turns out, I mean, what are they doing in the meantime between first and second readings that could potentially cost them money?
Yeah. I think developers are used to the process of a first and second reading, and the first reading is just to set the public hearing. So they've probably already, I can't speak for all developers, but most of them have already spent what they're going to spend to get to first reading and are not doing much, I don't think, until they get direction on second reading. Mr. Dahl, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, that's consistent. As you well know, very, very often, if they're the purchaser of the property, they're not going to close on that property for development until they've gotten second reading, and that's really the key event for them. So Patrick's absolutely right. The first reading, they know our system, and they know that the entitlements come at second reading.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Part of the process. We can go ahead and cast our votes then? Or you can.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item number 4, Ms. Hoppe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council Bill Number 17-2017, an ordinance amending Section 5-41 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning building permit fees. At issue, an amendment to Section 5-41 of the Building Code is recommended in order to provide clarification on the definition of project valuation. As a result of a protest filed in 2017 with the city treasurer, staff reviewed the administrative practices used in determining project valuation. Staff and the city treasurer propose amending the current code language to provide greater clarity for the business community.
Thank you. Once again, this is ordinance on first reading. Please go ahead with the motion.
I move to approve Council Bill Number 17-2017, an ordinance amending Section 5-41 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning building permits on first reading. Order it published, public hearing set for Monday, August 28th, 2017 at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers, and that it takes effect 15 days after final publication.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Wooden. Wasn't a baritone voice. Please cast your votes.
Motion carries 7-0.
That's the end of our our business meeting. We have an opportunity for the city manager's matters.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank all of our citizens and residents for their patience over this weekend. We had a lot going on and a lot of road closures, so hopefully that didn't provide too many inconveniences, but there was a lot of fun things going on. Also, I would like to thank all of our staff, our police department, Public Works, and Parks and Rec. It was a big day for us Saturday to close 38th Avenue down for the great parade we had, but then run around and an hour later shut down 32nd Avenue for the Colorado Classic bike ride that came through. So I think it was both events were very successful, and it's fun to have these kind of events in the community. That's all I got.
Thank you for saying that. City Attorney.
Nothing tonight, thanks.
City Clerk.
I do have something. I just wanted to say there's still plenty of time for candidates. A few candidates haven't picked up their nomination petitions, and any potential candidates can also pick them up. The petitions have to be turned into the clerk's office by 5 p.m. on Monday, August 28th. And I also wanted to alert the candidates that the lot drawing for ballot placement will be on Tuesday, September 5th. So it's another date some of you have to keep in mind. And then folks here and at home might want to save the date for the candidate issues and candidate and issues forum. And is that date still the same, right, Heather? For Tuesday, October 3rd, it'll be in council chambers and the public is invited. That's all.
Thank you. Let's go down the line with the city elected officials matters, starting with District 1.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our treasurer, Mr. Tertulio, is back to school being a teacher this week, and so he asked me to quickly go over the roofing permits and inspections bi-weekly report. The bi-weekly report is from last week, being that we had a study session. He didn't come in to report on it, but the current data as of last week is that we have 1.7 million and a little bit more in total roof permits for from May 8th through August 6th. So I'm bringing that
That's the
up.
total amount. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it. Thanks.
Mr. Urban, District 2.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to thank everybody who came out to the parade and the Carnation Festival. I had a great time with the family and had a great time seeing everybody that was out there, and really appreciated all the work that the police department and the staff did to keep everybody safe, and also providing the road closures and whatnot. I know it was a difficult weekend for all the staff, and the police force was out there. I know it seemed like almost every officer was on duty the entire weekend, so I appreciate that. thank you very much for that. For those who have traveled through the intersection of 44th and Wadsworth recently, you'll note that there's been some issues with the signaling of that intersection. I've been in contact with CDOT, and thanks to the work of staff as well, CDOT is now working on fixing that intersection based on some issue with the detection system of the intersection. They are now replacing that detection system, and so it should be up and working and be fixed here soon.
Mr. Pond, District 3.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing this evening.
Ms. Davis, District 2.
I just wanted to thank the folks that volunteered for the Carnation Festival. I was out there Friday night. It was very nice. And the fireworks actually were very nice as well. A Wheat Ridge High School graduate did the fireworks.
Really?
Alumni, yes.
Really?
So that's some
cool.
interesting facts. And would like to ask Mr. Clark that please let me know when the 4-H event's next year. I was actually raised by folks that raised Black Angus, so a family of farmers myself, not only Carnation, but also cattle and stuff. So that's always of interest, but just if you could just let me know a reminder. And congratulations to your kids for all the hard work.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
I would just like to ask Councilwoman Davis if she's going to start raising cattle in her backyard, or okay. Yeah. Just to add to what Councilwoman Hoppy said, our unusual expenses, our contract labor expenses so far have been $233,000. So that's over and above our normal operating expenses for hail damage.
Mr. Matthews.
Thank you, not tonight.
I just want to thank everybody that bid on all of the school benches. The Everett Middle School was the winner with $400 for their bench, and all the proceeds from all the silent bidding is going to go back to each school's art department. And we did have a lot of people drop by, so thank you for that, and thank you for the schools for taking the time to participate in the project.
Okay. Thank all the citizens who turned out for both the parade as well as the Carnation Festival. And I want to tell you about something that sounds really fun. At the Pepsi Center on Wednesday, August 16th, 10 a.m. to 3 o'clock, there'll be a demonstration of a a driverless vehicle. And it's free, of course. This thing holds 12 people, goes 12 miles an hour, 6 standing, 6 sitting as far as the capacity, has no steering wheel, and completely driverless. And I think it sounds fun. That's 10 till 3 o'clock on Wednesday at the Pepsi Center. And since we'll all be going that direction eventually, it might be a little kind of fun to see that in operation. That's it for tonight. Good night.